Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Moving into the Future. Today, we are joined by KJ Kennedy, COO of the Advance Group. And today, we're going to have a conversation about what's going on at the Advance Group, where we are right now, where we're going. KJ is an incredibly talented individual. He's one of the reasons why I am at the Advance Group, so I'm excited to have a conversation today with him. KJ, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. This is my first podcast, so you're popping my cherry here. Hearing my voice in the headphones is an interesting twist to this whole thing.
You get used to it real quick, let me tell you. And, it's interesting that this is your first podcast because you are a man of many talents. And, I've grown to really, really respect you and, enjoy following you on social media and even working together. Me and KJ are both around the same age, so we have a lot of same interests and, ambitions in life and stuff like that. So he's somebody, like I said, I've always really respected. And I'm interested to talk to him today because even though we work together, we don't really get a chance to hang out and, have these types of conversations and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, we did recently.
We did. At the wedding was awesome.
That was a great
That was, you talk about popping the podcast cherry. That was like popping our party cherry.
Yeah, oh, for sure. That was a party.
It was. But before we go off on that, KJ, I wanted to find out, because like I said, I really do think you're a talented individual. You are. How did you end up at the Advance Group? Because the way I see it, you're the type of guy who could really do anything you want. And, you're a huge, huge asset to us at the Advance Group. So I've always wondered, how did you end up here? What is your journey, or what path did you take to end up at the Advance Group?
Yeah, so my background was originally in hospitality, real estate, and fintech, always with a heavy focus in project management. So I came on board at the Advance Group 7 years ago, and I started as a project manager, was out in the field. I really got to learn our industry. I got to, we're working with tons of different commercial businesses and a lot of different industries. Our project managers are incentivized based on budget efficiency. Right. So I learned how we make money pretty early on, and that kind of set my trajectory to understand, the inner workings of the Advance Group. Being a project manager was probably my my favorite role at the time, but second favorite role in the company, opposed to what I'm doing right now. And it really gave me a good education on, what we do. Also, early on, I realized that Anthony Parziale has built this sales engine for our organization. I mean, you guys are a machine. And a lot of different companies and industries I've worked in, growing sales, building a sales team, sustaining sales is not an easy feat. You guys make it look easy. I know it's not. And that has always been a major selling point to me. Additionally, I feel that I have to continue to add value to the Advance Group, but the Advance Group always adds value back to me, and that's the relationship that we have. The upward mobility that I've seen at the Advance Group is another huge selling point and requalifies why I'm at the Advance Group. So from being a project manager and then moving into an office-based role, I also realized very early on that our industry was, or still is in a lot of capacities, very antiquated, behind the times in technology, a lot of friction in the workflow process. So when I transitioned into kind of an office-based role, we were refining process, we were integrating new technologies, we were getting everything to talk to each other, and that was those were really exciting projects to work on. And that kind of set the trajectory for my career path. And I think one of the biggest things was really kind of just cracking the back door off of our operational software to get all of the data in what we do and not just manage that on a financial basis, but pick apart every department, understand what the metrics are, manage it, not by gut, not by anecdote, which, has been done in the past. And that will get you to a certain level. Right. But for us to become what, the company we are and that we're going to be in the future, you have to be dialed into all of those different components. This company was founded in 1946 by the Malloy family in residential moving. And it truly is the American dream.
Yep.
Multiple generations, affiliations with large van lines were now Unigroup Mayflower. In 1978, we got into commercial moving, and that really set the trajectory for us to get into installation services, technology services, logistics, all the things that you talk about on the podcast all the time. And, the national footprint that we have that's growing per U, OMA, and everything. We'll get into that in a little bit. It's really exciting. And just to kind of finish, summarize this whole long-winded answer is it's a very exciting time to be employed by the Advance Group.
It is.
And a lot of people said to me in the beginning, this is not a sexy industry.
Nope.
I disagree.
I'm working on it though.
I disagree. And we for a brief time, or actually longer than a brief time, we were warehousing Victoria's Secret's Angel Wings.
Right, exactly.
Those are pretty sexy.
I agree.
I got to kind of wear them through.
Exactly.
So it is a sexy industry.
It's that's a funny topic in itself. Making movies sexy. That was the first thing. I remember when I first got into the industry and I was working, and one of the guys who owned the company, he's like, how do we make the moving industry sexy? And it definitely can be. And, you brought it up yourself as far as it being antiquated as an industry as a whole. That's like the most fascinating part of this industry for me, because I've had this conversation on the podcast before. Like, the biggest innovation in the moving industry in the last 50 to 100 years is the dolly. Yep. And when you think about that, it's like, how is it that something that happens every single day, I mean, trucking as a whole, and I was talking about this with Joe Spisak from Soapbox, and how is it that it's something that is done every day, yet it just has not gotten up to the times in terms of innovation and technology and everything like that. And, it's all music to my ears, what you're saying and stuff like that. The fact that you've been here 7 years and you've kind of getting in at that project manager level is so important. It was the same thing for me. It is because I remember when I first started too, I was on trucks, I was on jobs, I was learning the moving industry. So that way when I was selling it, I knew what I was talking about. And then I took it a step further. I went as far as to get on the end user side and learn that side of things and learn construction and furniture and, real estate as a whole, everything. I wanted to be that full package.
Yep.
And it is so important to do all that. So, to see it and to do it, and once you started to make that transition into more of an office role and stuff like that, what was it? And again, see, because you have a unique mind, and we're the same in this type, where you don't see things that everyone else does, and I'm the same way. When I see areas of improvement, I figure out technological solutions to doing it. Technology is our tool to make life easier. So what was it that when you started to get in that into those office roles that you saw that allowed you to start making changes and innovating the company and, making it easier for everybody, whether it's project managers, whether it's accounting, whether it's sales, to operate more efficiently?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And the answer lies in your question as well. So when we look at a problem in the industry, first of all, coming in out of this industry is really helpful and almost a secret weapon.
Yeah.
Because when you sit down with any department, it could be...
Sorry.
No worries.
Be careful doing that, though.
Oh, I apologize. I talk with my hands.
Yeah.
I just married an Italian, so it's it's wearing off of me already. I'm a New Yorker. You can keep that in, too. I'm an imperfect person.
It's all good.
Sorry about that. I'm going to maybe sit on my hands.
Yeah. No, you can do it, but it's just...
So when we're looking at a problem, I think it's really important for us to dissect it. And when you're asking questions and people say to you, this is how it's always been done.
Right.
That's a terrible answer.
Terrible.
Right. And then what I want to do on my end is I want to overcomplicate it. I want to dig into it. I want to find every reason why we're doing what we're doing. If we need to add technology, we add technology. Once we overcomplicate things by just kind of dissecting it, then we want to simplify it almost to an extreme.
Right.
So I see a lot of people that, some competitors that are trying to get involved with simplifying, but they're really just overcomplicating way too much.
Exactly.
So what we have to do is dissect everything. We have to look at it. We have to put the pieces together and say, what's the easiest way to get this done? And I think we could do that through technology, through people, finding the right, I want to take a moment here just to say that my success and our company's success is predicated on the people that are at Advance.
100%.
We are surrounded by incredibly talented people, and I could not do my job if it wasn't for them. And this is from ground level of our labor to all of our supervisors to our operations team in many different facets, whether it's coordinators, dispatch, warehouse staff, our accounting department, our internal and external project management, everybody out in the field. I'm still doing it with my hands. Yeah. So I learn from them every single day, and we have a great team.
Yeah,
really.
I agree. And see, that's another thing about the moving industry as a whole. It's human centric.
Yep.
It's again one of probably the few industry where when you do a project, there could be up to like 50 people involved.
Yes.
Which is, that doesn't really happen anymore. There's a lot of technology that's created solutions where humans aren't needed anymore, but moving is such a human-centric business. So you're always going to need that until, and again, I've talked about this on the podcast, we go like full robotics or something, which is far off. You're going to need humans to do certain things within that process. So that's why it's important to have technology that props it up. And I agree with you. The people at the Advanced Group, again, it's why I'm here, are really impressive. And it's buy-in too. Everybody's bought in. Everybody's bought into the mission. You can rely on people to do their jobs because, again, I think that's one of the things since you've taken over, full-time as COO is the project management level has really, really, hit a level of.
Mario Lazzari is an incredible director of project management.
And all of our guys, they operate very efficiently. They know their role. And in my role too, I know how to set them up. The coordinators know how to set them up. It's just a very refined process from everybody involved that makes it easy for us and our clients. And this summer, I had a pretty big summer and very busy, a lot of projects. And
been doing great, man.
Yeah, thanks. We're rolling though, we're rolling. And see, this is why I can do great though, is because when I book a project, the project gets done.
Yep.
And then I don't need to worry about that project after it's done. I don't need to be going back and, negotiating with the client on price because of change orders or stuff like that. Or there's lost or broken items. Like we're not seeing that. So like that allows me to operate more efficiently on my end. And, it's why it's a great job.
Yeah.
And, it's a great company and it works so well. But, prior to you coming on as COO, you were in an admin role.
I had like 7 different positions.
Yeah, you
here.
did, right?
So
yeah, but see, when I came on, I came on during the pandemic, and at that time, what were you doing then? It was more of like a VP of operations or something along those lines?
It was Vice President of Administration.
Right, that's what it was.
That was about 2 years ago.
That's what it was, and that was such an interesting time for the company as a whole too, because I tell people this a lot. That was the first time I could imagine ever where like moving stopped,
Yeah.
and like the industry stopped, supply chain stopped. And that's like right when I started.
Yeah.
And, it didn't really affect me because I just find ways to make it happen. But for you at that time, what did that look like? What, because again, you had this leadership role and you have a problem solver mentality.
Yeah.
So, when you see that happening, what are you doing?
That was a really interesting time. It was about 2 years ago, I was promoted to Vice President of Administration, and that was my first executive role in the company. So it was a bit of a stretch position. I was completely prepared for it to the extent that I could have been prepared for it. But anyone that's taking the jump into an executive role is going to have discomfort going into it. So that was 2 months before the pandemic broke out. And if you asked me while that was all unfolding, I would have told you it was the most difficult obstacle in my career to date, and probably still was the most difficult obstacle in my career to date. However, in retrospect, when we look back on the pandemic, there was a lot of benefits in that time period.
Right.
And when it first hit, a lot of different things happened. What we focused on was, there was obviously a lot of health scare. All of our major sources of income, so our Mac moves, our commercial moving, our installation projects, some of these good, big installation, carpenter projects, all came to a grinding halt. Mm-hmm. So as a problem solver, we all got together and recognized pockets of opportunity in the logistics world. So we had done logistics before. Logistics has always been a presence of ours, but we dove head in and pivoted into logistics. We got involved in some of these pop-up hospitals, whether it was Jacob Javits Center, Stony Brook. We did ventilator distribution for quite a bit. Warehousing space became incredibly valuable to us because everyone needed their things stored. Even in offices, we did a lot of decommissions, things like that. we even had requests that were pretty wild. I mean, it's scary, refrigerated trucks for bodies and things like that, which were, one, we weren't comfortable with that. And two, I don't think that we had the proper credentials to be doing stuff like that. But that was how serious things got. And then, we were focusing on our teams, making sure our employees were okay during that time. After the health scare kind of fizzled out a bit, we used that time, and I have to give credit to our executive team getting together and making sure there was programs for our employees to stay fully employed. And for the record, we came out of the pandemic with 0 forced layoffs, which is an incredible feat for a company to do of our
small
size.
Business,
yeah, exactly. But we took that time as productive time. We further dug into our process. We further integrated our technology. We focused on pain points in our business. And not every company has the opportunity to operate in a growth state and hit the pause button and say, all right, let's focus on everything internal so that when we emerge from this, we're in a position of strength.
Right.
We did that.
Yeah.
We further integrated our inventory process. We looked at the warehouse. We dug deeper into our numbers. We upgraded personnel. We further trained. We tried to anticipate where the puck was going. And again, I mentioned logistics-based business, which is huge for us.
Absolutely.
Right now. And that was really crucial for us. We emerged out of the pandemic, and I feel like we're kind of on the other side of it now. I hope I'm going to touch the table and not go in here. Yeah. But at this point, we're in a position of power, and I'm really proud to say on this podcast that our July was a record month. Yep. We started our business in 1946. We just came off of the biggest month revenue-wise that our company has ever done.
Love it.
And not many companies came out of the pandemic in such a position of power. So I'm very proud of that. It's great.
Yeah, no, it is. And again, it's kudos to you, kudos to Anthony, the entire executive team.
I have to say it's our entire company.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say,
I cannot take credit.
I was going to say though, but that's the thing. It's it's the buy-in that we talked about before. People. It's a tough business to be in the moving industry, and I think that's why so few people do it. But once you get into it, it's you see the impact that you can have. Whether it be through operations or through sales, or you see what you can do with it. And it's limitless. And, you talk about logistics, and I wanted to talk about warehousing too, because you mentioned, the scarcity of warehousing. And I actually saw you post an article about it, or maybe you commented an article that Joe posted about the scarcity of warehousing and how that bubble is about to pop on that. And see, you do a lot of work on that too, because you're always looking for new opportunities. I know we moved some of our stuff in New Jersey to another warehouse. Just to pivot real quick on that, what do you think on that, especially in the tri-state area specifically, and even Florida too, because, Florida is a very interesting market, specifically from a logistics standpoint. What are your thoughts on that, the Amazon effect of warehousing and what that means for us?
Yeah, so you hit all the major points. Industrial real estate is through the roof right now. And we saw this happen in the pandemic, and you could have predicted it, right? Because you have direct-to-consumer. You have, people can't physically go into stores and buy things. So people, warehouses are holding inventory. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing for us is that, I've looked at a lot of real estate in the tri-state area, and we've talked to a lot of our OMER partners about, in major cities. And private equity has moved into the industrial real estate market.
Fascinating.
It is fascinating. They're buying up large portfolios. They're creating beautiful warehouses, 30-foot clear. I mean, when you work in logistics, you want that elevation. Right. You want to go up.
Yep.
Our Long Island facility, you don't see many buildings that are 30-plus feet on Long Island. In Jersey, you see it kind of commonly. Either way, those private equity firms are looking for Amazon rent.
Yep.
And, when we were out and we found that opportunity in Newark, so real estate strategy is a huge part of my role in making sure that we are strategically geographically placed, but also that we're keeping our margins in place for warehousing. And, it's interesting. I think that we're going to see, and this is all speculation.
But you're involved in it and you look at it and you have an educated guess, if you will.
I think that these equity firms or even developers, whomever, they may be caught holding the bag because Amazon's not going to purchase every single warehouse.
No.
the Advance Group is not going to pay $25 per square foot,
That's
$20
insane.
per square foot. I mean, it's out of control.
Yeah.
And, we've gotten very creative. We have, Willie Becker, I'll plug you on this, is a phenomenal commercial real estate broker. We have done some incredible deals with him. I'm lucky that I've been involved with the Advance Group for as long as I've have, because we've done some very creative things to offset our warehousing costs. And our portfolio, is strong, and we have future plans to grow our portfolio. But I'm very interested to see how the industrial market will evolve,
right?
And who's going to be caught holding this back,
right?
Because businesses like us are not going to pay those prices. Amazon will,
yeah, but Amazon can't take all the space, and it's
already happening,
right? Exactly,
it's already happening, and I know it from a few projects that are going on Long Island and New Jersey, where they were these large 30-foot clear warehouse spaces that were the developer or the equity firm only wanted one tenant in there, and now they're demising it up, they're chopping it up, and it's a clear indicator that they didn't get what they wanted in that capacity. So that will go into play for our future portfolio strategy, and if they're caught with their pants down, we're going to move in.
Right. And this kind of segues nicely into what I wanted to talk about next is in terms of what we see for the future, because again, being in our position professionally, we still got a long way to go.
We do.
And we're, even though we are seeing this current success to some level, this is just the tip of the iceberg as far as the way I see it. What are you working on, right now currently for the next 1 to 3 years? And let's also talk about where we see things going in 5-10 years and stuff like that too.
So that's the most exciting part,
I think,
of our jobs and everyone involved at the Advance Group. The canned answer from a chief operating officer is going to be sustainable growth. That's my answer, but it's also the truth. But I want to unpack it a little bit and explain why. My job is to show bottom line performance.
Right.
Your job is to show top line performance. Right. We have to do this dance. So in order for us to sustain the growth and the rate that we're moving at, I have to be able to work with my team at the velocity in which you guys are growing top line sales, so that we can gain the capacity on our front and through investment to manage your sales.
Right.
And this is the 3, 5, and 10-year plan. And we're getting much better at this dance. It's fickle, because at any point in time, any one of our heavy-hitting salespeople could bring in a 6 or 7-figure project where our warehouse requirements are just blown through the roof, and we have to go out and find new space.
Yeah, I mean, we deal with that now.
We deal with it right now, right? But there's, then there's the organic growth, and that's done through our local markets and then our national and global markets. If we make the investment too soon on our footprint, warehouse, personnel, equipment, technology, if we do it too fast, then we're holding too much expense and we blow our margin. That means I'm not doing my job properly.
Right.
If we do it too slow, then your rate of sales is going. I'm not going to have the resources to service for you guys. So that blows up relationships. So the whole dance, and again, I was talking about using data and not going anecdotal or gut feeling. We have to put all of this into one big formula to figure out where exactly we're going to be going. And that's a dance that we're getting much better at. And we leverage a lot of relationships and partnerships to get there. A huge part of my role is hiring people. I take it very seriously. And that goes, and anyone who works with us will know, I get involved with hiring anywhere from labor, movers, warehouse, inventory tech, up to executive positions. You and I, we had, a couple interviews before you came on, and I think the people in our organization is what's going to breed that success.
Absolutely.
And it's the only way we can solve these types of problems. I think, if we look at 10 years, that's such a long time period. That's the one that excites me the most, because I know we're going to be here in 10 years.
Right.
We have more than that in our career left. And you come into play in a huge way in that 10-year growth. So, and we can talk a little bit about OMA, but what I want to say about OMA is leveraging our national and global footprint is going to give us exponential growth.
Exactly.
When we look at our backyard in our local markets, we get involved in acquisitions, mergers, things like that. That accelerates organic growth at a much quicker pace than us just acquiring more clients.
Right.
That can get us from A to B. But in order for us to hit the 10-year goal, we need to leverage those relationships through OMA and through Unigroup. And OMA has been growing at triple-digit percentages.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to say confidently is if we can continue to leverage those relationships, the Advance Group could realize triple-digit growth in that 10-year time frame. And that is directly done through our OMA network and our Unigroup network. And the beauty of it for me, in my position, is that I don't have to make those investments in the brick and mortar, in the labor, in the technology. We leverage all of our other partnerships. Mm-hmm. They benefit from it as well.
Absolutely.
And then, it's a beautiful thing, and it's the formula to exponential growth.
Yep.
So in 10 years, we're going to have another episode.
Oh, before that. But yes,
I know.
We'll do a time capsule episode.
But mark my words.
Yes.
Because triple digits is a big number. That's like anyone could come on here and say, I'm going to have triple digit growth.
Right.
But, with the plans that we have. And then there's the one last thing I want to talk about is that, or at least in relation to, where we're going, the pandemic changed the consumer. Mm-hmm. We recognize that. There are pockets in logistics right now, and I'm not talking about Amazon, Overstock, Wayfair, pick and pack operations, 3PL operations. That's not necessarily our business model. I'm not saying we'd never do business like that, but there are opportunities in the logistics markets right now that are incredibly exciting to me and everybody that we work with. I'm not quite ready to talk about exactly what the details are yet because we are moving into where the puck is going.
Right.
That was a sound effect. I'm so bad with my hands. We're moving to where the puck is going, and I am incredibly excited about the logistics work. That's not to take away from the fact that we are commercial movers. We do the macros.
Right. It's just one more. It's just one more branch of our business, and you're absolutely right. Again, we talked about it with the pandemic. It's changed logistics, and it's something that needed to change. We saw through the pandemic, the way it was being done was antiquated. Again, we talk about that word. And, we as the Advance Group have been able to benefit from that in the sense that, we've pivoted and created a new branch of our business that is, from a financial standpoint, significantly advantageous.
Yeah.
Which is great for us. And again, you talk about the OMA branch of that. See, I had known about OMA, and again, I've talked about it on the podcast for a long time. And I know the competitors out there, I know the other national, global move management companies that operate. And I always thought OMA was the best specifically for that reason of partnership and having brick and mortar locations in these local markets and having local market knowledge and being able to operate jobs efficiently in any market because of the partners that exist there. I was like, that's the way to do it. I know it from being in the industry. I know it. And when I'm on the end user side, I'm like, this is what's going to work best, especially if you're talking about, either a business that is already has, a large footprint in many different markets, but also those fast growing businesses where you need solutions very quickly. And you don't have time to be working around with different vendors and stuff like that. It works phenomenal for those type of companies.
Absolutely.
And, that's why I'm so bullish on it as a whole. And now that I'm involved in OMA, I started that Young Leaders Group. We had a meeting yesterday. That's huge. That's huge.
Absolutely.
These are the relationships that I'm creating, you and myself as well. These are the relationships that we're creating for the next, 20, 25 years that are just going to benefit us. And, you talk about that triple digit growth. That is exponential growth that we have available to us, through these relationships that are being founded. And, the foundation of OMA is already there. And not even there, like we're flourishing now. We're in a state of straight flourishment. And again, from being at a fast growth company already, you can see the same, parallels with OMA. And it is really just like remarkably exciting, especially for me. And not only that, but then you see our competition, which is like really struggling in a lot of areas. They're certainly not flourishing the same way OMA is. And it's going to be interesting, specifically in the next like 5 years, what like the market share really becomes, and not just for OMA, but the Advanced Group as well, because, and I don't love giving away secrets on the podcast, but, you know, they can know. You know, as far as the competition goes in New York, there's probably 50 commercial movers or so in New York City who operate, and you could also include installers in that as well. Like 5 of them, maybe not even 10, offer national, global move management services, which is huge. And again, none of them, even if they do, have the foundation of OMA behind them, you know, which...
OMA's our biggest customer.
Exactly.
And we're a founding member of OMA.
Yeah.
Anthony Parziali's on the board.
Right.
You're very involved. Jeff Silverstein is very involved. You know, OMA is phenomenal.
Yeah, and I mean Mark and Viv, and you know they're very well respected in the industry. They're doing a lot of work. We get a lot of work from OMA. We give a lot of work, you know, out. It's a really good relationship that I'm excited about. And you know, you're coming to Scottsdale this year. That'll be a fun trip. That'll be the annual. There's going to be like 300 people there, which is insane.
It's great.
I mean, it really is. It really is. It'll be a lot of fun, and you know, not only that, but I was talking about at the beginning of the episode, you know, you got a lot of different things that you work on. And I think for our listeners who've heard KJ talk, you can see he's an incredibly talented guy. He does a lot of different things. I was at his house. Yeah. I was at his house for his wedding, and he's got a beautiful house there on the South Shore. But you're working on there. I got to say this. He is a unbelievable cook. I mean, my father growing up is a very good cook. You know, we cook a lot of Italian. I saw you were cooking the meatballs the other day too.
Well, I married a Sicilian. If I don't nail the meatballs, then I'm out.
I was looking at him and I was like, wow, those are some Italian meatballs right there, because you did it with you had the veal, or what was it?
I had beef, I had pork, I had pancetta, which is beef as well.
Yeah.
But yeah. Went in hard on the meatballs.
That's it. And then you got that Traeger, that green egg there that you do that.
Yeah.
I gotta have some of that brisket someday. I'm telling you. But yeah, no, this guy, he does like he started a business, Fire Island Catch and Cook. He's making hot sauce, offering that. How's that going for you? All right? It's
going great. I mean, it's a passion project.
Right.
You know, it's not, you know, I love fishing. I love hunting. I love cooking. I mentioned before, hospitality, you know, is my roots. I started working in hospitality when I was 12 years old at a pizza shop, actually. And I think the biggest lessons I've ever learned in business were from hospitality.
100%.
Service. I mean, I was a bartender for a really long time.
Different levels of the process, too.
100%.
And see, that's the thing. I was in hospitality, too, in college. And
that's what I went to school for.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I went to school for film originally, and then, you know.
I didn't know that either. I love that.
Yeah. I'm like, you know, I'm an enthusiast.
You're like a Renaissance man. You're a Renaissance man.
Yeah, I appreciate the compliments.
But operating those different levels, you got the cooks, you got the bussers, you got the expediters, you got all of the people in between there.
Expediter's a tough job.
It is. I've done it. Yeah, it is. And like handling the line there and stuff like
100%.
that. You know, it's interesting in how that correlates to moving a little bit.
Bartending to me was the best lesson in business.
Really,
because it really, if you can handle a bar, a busy bar that's 4 or 5 deep, you could pretty much handle anything in business, because you have to understand people. You have to be able to read them. You have to have the confidence to keep them, you know, if you're busy, you have to acknowledge them.
Right.
They got to know you're there.
Right.
You know, and you work through the crowd, and, you know, you talk to a lot of different people who work in a lot of different industries. And I just think that was probably one of the best, grooming positions that I've ever had. I've been fortunate enough to have a few really good mentors. Anthony Parziali is one of them. And I think, you know, the hospitality bit. And I love when I see resumes which someone worked for a hotel chain or a restaurant or something like that. You know, you can tell when you meet somebody, when you go out to eat with them, if they've worked in hospitality or not.
Yeah.
Just by the way they interact with staff.
Right. Well, that's a telltale sign.
And I gravitate towards the people who work in hospitality.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, no, that was I've had the same career path, you know, working in pizza places, working in restaurants. I've worked for catering businesses, and it is an important role to have. And see, you talk about how people treat, you know, wait staff and stuff like that. I've had to like break off friendships because they're you know, jerks to wait staff and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's not good. Not a good way to be.
Not a good way to be.
But yeah, man, you work on a lot of different stuff. You got the plug there with the
these are my buddies,
soldiers.
Old Soldiers. They're great. I got to tell you, they are an incredible company. My two best friends, James and John, started Old Soldier when we were in college. Actually, they started a clothing brand in high school, and they have grown at an exponential rate as well.
They're in the J. Crew.
They just were featured in J. Crew. Yeah. They're big in Japan. Both of them have full-time jobs. James works for VaynerMedia. He works for Gary Vaynerchuk, which is very cool.
Yeah.
He's been an employee of Gary for a very long time. He gave the speech at my wedding.
Right. Did a great job.
But yeah, these guys are really impressive. Check them out, Old Soldier.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, that's cool, man. So, like I said, you're a talented guy. I'm really lucky to be working for you. We're working with you.
Working with
you.
I want to say also that I work for everybody at our company.
Yeah. Right.
And I think, taking a humble approach like that is important because, we couldn't do what we do without our people. Mm-mm. And that's my main focus is when I show up to work, like, what can I do for my team?
Right. And, again, just reiterating what I said before, the level of performance at the Advance Group since you've taken over as COO in, my eyes has been significant. And I am, I'm a pretty heavy critic. If I see something wrong, I don't shy away from speaking up.
I know that too, and I appreciate that.
Right, exactly. And, but, you really don't hear from me unless it's good news.
Yeah.
Which is good stuff. So, KJ, thanks for joining us today. I'm excited for the future. No, it's my pleasure. I'm glad we got to do this. It's been on the agenda for a while, and this was great. And to our listeners, thank you for listening. Looking forward to next time.